I want to take this opportunity to give my salutes to Pastor Patience Museveni Rwabwogo, together with your husband who has gone out there. Our prayers go ahead of him. Excellencies, the ambassadors, our fathers of faith, whom we respect and honor in this land, bishops, the reverends and the pastors and the prophets who are here, all clergy who came tonight and stayed and waited for this moment when we can give Africa to Jesus. It is so important. The business community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Today, I must say that I was captured by the hearts of a few young girls that made me to be late. Today is the International Day for the people with disability, and I happen to be one of the patrons and also a mother who goes to see them at this day. And when I went there, they wanted to sing for me, and they wanted me to be with them. And I had to just take a little time with the dear daughters that sometimes we forget. They are in St. Teresa here in Langata, and I took longer than I thought I would take. So my apologies. It is only my heart was stolen by beautiful angels that sat there waiting to see and to be touched. And I thought it was an important mission. And thank you so much. I'm very excited to be in your midst this evening to witness the launch of Jesus Africa. Patience, Pastor Patience, thank you for choosing to launch your book in Kenya and inviting me to grace this wonderful occasion. I'm deeply honored, and it is a great honor for me and a great gesture. I will not forget. That is twice. And so I want to bring the greetings of my dear husband, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. He passes his greetings. He would have wanted to be here, but I left him with meetings. He had many meetings today, and he told me to come and pass his regards. I want you to put your hands together for that wonderful man. We always say fathers are very important, and I can see my father is in the house, Bishop David Mureithi. That is my spiritual father. He has prayed me up for 22 years under his stewardship, and I thank God. Whatever you see, it has something to do with the prayers of that man and his dear wife, Reverend Veronica. For there is no way a tree can produce something that is bad. If you think you like me, you must love my father. I also was accompanied by another man who, in my life, he came to bring joy, and that is Kevin Gachagua. He's right there, my son. Thank you for accompanying me. And therefore, I continue. I have fond memories of our encounter in June this year in Entebbe, Uganda, during the similar occasion. Welcome to Kenya. Kenya, as our president will tell you, is the cradle of mankind. So when you come here, you are all at home. And Africa is where God created the world. It is the Garden of Eden. If you look at it, in every way, Africa is the matrix where everyone came. But from here, they have scorned the Africans. And we forgive them. They didn't know what they were doing. In this book, Jesus Africa, Pastor Patience links the history of Africa and the Bible in such an interesting and intentional fashion, making it possible to ignore making it impossible to ignore the pivotal role Africa and Africans play in evangelization. In the year 2005, Pastor Patience received a vision from God regarding the African continent. In the vision, she heard God's voice proclaiming, out of what was called darkness will come a great light. This light will come from within you. She further narrates how the light spreads beyond her native country, Uganda, to other countries as it is doing now. The light has already come, and the one who is shining the light is in Kenya and spreading it to beyond Kenya. In the vision, Uganda was considered the heart of Africa to bring change to the entire continent. And as it is only in Uganda that you find a president who will stand against the world and say no to LGBTQ and go to defend what must be defended. We must defend our culture, we must defend what we believe in, and we must defend our morality. For those who may have forgotten that God speaks to us, God speaks to us, may you be reminded that God still uses vision, dreams, nature, and even angels to remind us He is the Creator. And His creation, as His creation, we must listen to His voice and do His will. Pastor Patience has seen a vision. A visionary woman, a daughter of Africa, that God is using to ignite revival and to spread it to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I applaud Pastor Patience for her literary style, which cleverly weaves Africa's development agenda in a beautiful theme, rebuilding Africans' wars. Whenever you are faced with challenges, we must reflect on solutions. It is a human nature to return to the beginning and work our way out. This returning to the beginning is one way of reconnecting Jesus Africa. As Africans, we need to return of our minds and hearts to God. She has just told us, anytime you want things to happen, and if they must happen in the right way, it must start with the church. It must start with the unity of the church, which unites all people so that we can be able to charter a course that is divinely ordained. Africa is blessed with gifts of strategic leadership. From Genesis chapter 41 tells of the story of Joseph and his interaction with Pharaoh. How his ability to interpret Pharaoh's dream led to a strategic relationship between the spiritual and the natural. Political authority. Arising from Joseph's integrity and leadership, he was appointed to a high office. God uses Joseph's example to remind us that Africa's church must lead by integrity to enable a spiritual revival which is critical to rebuilding the continent and the world. Africa is blessed with the gifts of prayer and intercession. God through Africa wants to unlock a higher level of intercession for the restoration of families, marriages, cities, and nations. From the story of Joseph and his reunion with the brothers, we are treated to an episode of Judah interceding on behalf of Benjamin's life. This is a very powerful portrayal of the true intercession. We must begin our rebuilding journey by returning to the family, because family is everything. We were told we needed to go to the ruthless capitalism and see the results. Our countries are dividing with greed, with corruption, and all these things. Africa was different. This family is the heart of any society. It is at the family level where we get it right or we get it wrong. Among the reasons I feel honored to be at this lunch is because the family is one of the pillars under the office of the spouse of the Deputy President. We have chaplaincy, outreach, and family values. We must return to family values. We must return to family ethics. And the moment we get there, things are going to change. Due to its geographical location, Africa is a place of refuge. Africa and Africans appear in both the Old and the New Testament. In 2021, when the U.S. withdrew its armed forces from Afghanistan, many civilians linked to Americans were exposed to danger. The U.S. government asked Uganda to temporarily host a few thousand Afghanis families due to its impressive track record of welcoming the refugees. As Jesus made his way to Golgotha, carrying his cross, it is Simon of Cyrene, a North African in present-day Libya, who helped him to carry the cross. In this case, if you are clapping, let's clap. Thank you. In this case, Simon of Cyrene is a clear example of an ordinary man who stepped into the eternal plan of God's redemption. God uses ordinary people to fulfill his plans. And Pastor Patience is one of those. In this book, Pastor Patience narrates how she, as a teenager, was fortunate to grace the Uganda Youth Forum organized by the lady Mama, Her Excellency Mama Janet Museveni in the 1990s. The forum focused on teaching young people about their identity in Christ rather than HIV and AIDS and STI. The teaching have helped Pastor Patience and her fellow learners at the time to establish God's redemptive plan for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, in this dynamic era, it's clear that the solution to Africa's challenges lies within the hands of African people. History has shown that external interference, be it during the era of slave trade or through the structural adjustment programs, has often been detrimental. Pastor Patience sheds light on the deep-seated pain, suffering, and the devastation inflicted upon Africans, tracing it back to its root of exploitation and division by the colonial powers. She draws our attention to the notorious 1884 to 1885 Barring Conference, a pivotal meeting that Africa's fate was decided without any African representation. This gathering disregarded the sovereignty, the human rights, and the cultural values of African people, focusing solely on the colonial powers, interest in territorial claims and economic gains. They petitioned Africa with arbitrary boundaries, carelessly splitting communities and disregarding the existing social fabric. And that is where we are today. We have some of Karamajong in this side, the other one here, Maasai is here, Somali is here. And those imaginary boundaries that we are talking about have caused so much division and caused Africa not to be able to trade as one people. They came and found a one people speaking different languages with different cultures, but we were not fighting. We were ready to stay together. We traded. Some came from this area, going all the way to north, to Tangaza, to get salt, never returning. But they were Africans, and it was a great journey they made. In response to these historical injustices, Pastor Patience calls for African leadership to rise, akin to Nehemiah rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem. We must reject divisions imposed by external forces and embrace our shared identity. Proud, beautiful, and resilient, Africa is a land blessed with rich natural resources, vibrant culture, and youthful and energetic population. By acknowledging this strength, we must combat stereotypes of poverty, diseases that have long plagued our continent. We as Africans are warm, we are ethical, and we are full of life, deeply rooted in our spirituality and profound connection with God. Pastor Patience has reminded us that being African is a divine blessing. And you can clap for her. Your skin and hair, she says, defy the laws of gravity and is adapted to, as it is adapted to its environment. If you see the Michael Jacksons of some time, because they are Africans, their hair stood on afro, and they were very proud of it. And I believe that is why Africa must defy all the opinions of men and be able to stand as one. Your dressing, hairstyle, and makeup should enhance your uniqueness. They should not remove from it. Anyone who makes rules to demonize your uniqueness should receive nothing more than a contempt card. Colossians 2:15. Jesus didn't seek to appease, to tolerate, or to get along with demons. He triumphed and disarmed them. He made a spectacle of them in the bowls of hell. With all authority and power given to him by God, we must stand against powers of darkness and evil and wickedness in the high places. Saying Africa is our Africa and we are the Africans and African is our business. And we will stand and we will fight and our children will have an inheritance in this Africa. In conclusion, you know, I'm a pastor, I could kesha with you here. In conclusion, the spirit of Pan-African is our guiding light. It's time for us to believe in Africa and its people, to harness our collective strength and to chart a course towards a prosperous and a unified future. God bless you as you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I want you to stand in ovation of our daughter of Africa, and I want every one of you who are here, if you think what I've said is good, it is better in that book. I want you to buy and even take it to people. Pastor Patience, we love you. And may God bless you as you continue to shine the light. You have just come as a candle holder. You have ignited all this. There were only 12 that made Jesus to be known in the entire world. And it is only one who has turned the world upside down. What can these people do if really they believed in Jesus Africa? God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Let's give Her Excellency a warm round of applause. Thank you very much. We may be seated.